right, Bubba, Quasar Markets Live. I got you right here out in Vegas. What's going on, man? It seems like the world just took a big dump here.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things going on. You and I talked last week about the metals, and look what happened. Down 36% on Friday, a little bit down yesterday, and today they're getting a little bit of a bounce. But again, you get these parabolic moves. You got to know that those cannot be sustained, and I think that's what you saw. You're seeing a big sell-off, and I think if you're bullish, the most bullish action you can get in the silver and the gold markets right now is for them to consolidate. And find a bottom, find a top to churn for a couple of weeks, because I think we're going to see another leg up. But I think there is still a little bit more room on the downside here, and I would look to see some sellers coming in. And of course, the equities, they're still in an uptrend. Yeah, they're getting pounded today, but I think something interesting to take note of. I talk about warning signs. It doesn't mean that the markets are going to break today or tomorrow, but here's one of the biggest warning signs I've seen in a while. Not to mention the loss of jobs. Everything else we talk about in high inflation, a lousy Federal Reserve, the markets are priced at 306% of the M2 money supply. This is the highest they've ever been in history as far as an overvalued situation. The last time they were over 300% was the internet bubble, and we all know the result of that. I am not telling anybody to run out and panic. I'm not telling you to sell everything, because I think you have to remember one thing about markets and one thing about trading or investing. You will have plenty of time to get in if you have a reason to get in. Right now, as much as I believe we are going to go lower at some point, and maybe sooner than later, I have plenty of time to act, because the market will give me a reason to trade it and sell it, instead of trying to fight the overall uptrend. One down day, one NASDAQ down day of 2%, or a Dow down less than 1%, or an S&P down 1.5% means nothing. Okay. There will be a chart point that you'll be able to identify and say, now is the time to hit the button. I want to sell.
And what is that going to be for you? I mean, we just heard a few minutes ago that Iran just sent a second drone out to the ship, so they shot it down too. Is it getting nasty geopolitically or around the world, or is it just the same old, same old?
I think it's the same old, same old. I think there's, listen, the big difference, big years ago when you and I first started, certainly when I first started, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have all this information. I mean, now if a guy farts in Russia, you know about it in California in 10 seconds. Okay. We didn't have that. We were like the movie Trading Places. When news was coming out, we'd have to stand in front of the TV set waiting for the announcement that was already late. So I think that it's same old, same old. The markets have managed to shriek up everything that has happened. It doesn't really matter. And again, as I said, they're still basically in an overall uptrend. I don't see any damage being done yet. I would say to you, though, that if we break below, let's say 6,800 in the S&P, I would think that might be a pretty good warning sign that it's time to get short and time to sell. But for now, same old, same old. This doesn't bother me. This is just a market that's taking a little bit of profit and selling off a little bit.
Well, you look at the FOMO, silver just exploded to the upside. I took advantage of that, shorted silver, picked up silver on the bounce, and dumped it again today. It just looks like it's a trader's dream right now, right?
It is a trader's dream, but I want to warn everybody. When you're trading if you're trading in the futures market, silver, gold, the moves now are very dramatic. Okay, so if you're trading like the micro futures in gold, if you have to be willing to take per contract $200 worth of risk, because they're moving in $10 and $15 movements right now. You can't get in without moving at $10 or $15. So I urge you to be very careful. You can certainly play in the option market, but what is the problem in the option market right now regarding metals? The implied volatility is through the roof. So not only do you have the volatility risk, you have the wrong side of the market risk. So there's a lot of things to do. Certainly you and I both bought ZSL last week. We both sold silver, and we're comfortable with the risk. Okay. But it is a trader's market. I think you look for right now. I mean, I think that silver is probably a sell if you get back up to 90, okay, which it got to this morning, sold right off. I think it's a buy back at 75. I think if you trade that range and make sure that you put your exit point in, your risk point. If you are willing to take X amount of risk, put that, the minute you enter that order, put that risk parameter in, and don't let the markets fool you or make you make a different decision, because one of the biggest things that a good trader and a good investor will learn is how to take the loss.
Yeah, and I'm bringing on silver chart here. This is a monthly chart. What a completely crazy chart this is. Spinning top here to me, right?
I think so. Look, I think you can come back down. I think that we should probably hold 65 or 70 when it's all said and done. Okay,
65 or 70. So you'd be shorting it here?
I would be looking to short it here on this rally. Yes, I did short it at 90 this morning, or almost 90 this morning, and I would be looking for another. I'm looking to sell the rallies right now. But what I really want to see, and I think this is important for people to understand, is we want to see the markets go into a consolidating pattern that will lead to potentially the next breakout to the upside. If they go straight down, it's no bueno. It just doesn't work out well. We really would like to see a consolidation pattern if you're bullish, and then look for the next move to go on the upside.
Yeah. And then I'm looking, I bought on this dip, I bought Ethereum here under 2,000, and now here we are 2,200 here.
Yeah, no, it was look, I think the cryptos are probably a buy. Again,
okay. I like that. Look at that.
You have to be willing to take the risk. But I mean, listen, there's an ETF that I play with, ETHA, ETHA, Echo Tango Hotel Alpha. It's $16.50. Okay. I mean, that's been as high as the mid 30s. I'd be happy to buy that here. I already own it, but I would buy more. Okay. I think that you have to be prepared. Again, you have to find a reason, find a level that you're comfortable with. And if you're willing to add more, you don't have to buy, you don't have to go in with all guns blazing. If you want to buy something like an ETHA, you could buy 25% of what you're willing to commit. If it comes down further, you can buy more.
Yeah. And it just looks like this massive volume here coming in. Every time we have massive volume, it just looks like there's no liquidity, right? I mean, it's something's just not adding up to the markets here.
Well, you're getting the big volume because you had the chase up and now you have the panic down. I think that is a perfect sign, and I love heavy volume on a big spike in either direction, because I'm either buying the spike down on heavy volume or I'm selling the spike up. As you noticed, the perfect example of silver on Wednesday, Thursday, when it spiked up, that was the end, and it came crumbling down and came down in heavy volume, which gave you a reason. In fact, you bought yourself. You mentioned it. You buy it and look for a rally back in, look for a place to sell it. But unusual volume is always a good sign to go the opposite way.
Yeah, and it just seems to me that now the weakness is back into silver now, and I think maybe you're right, back to 65. All right, Bubba. One last question before I let you go. The world is falling apart. It seems like every day. Is there something that you see some good news out there anywhere?
I don't know that there's good news for the average American. I hate to say that. I hate to be Debbie Downer. But jobs are getting erased. We're losing jobs. Inflation is on the rise. We're very near stagflation. It's a pretty scary time for those on the lower end of the K. Yeah.
What about ISM numbers that came out this morning? 52 compared to the
manufacturing numbers were really good. But again, is that going to help get us some more jobs? And I don't think so. I think that you've already got Amazon and Meta and all the other big tech companies talking about massive layoffs throughout the year because they don't need the people anymore.
That's right. AI is taking everybody's job.
By AI.
Well, hopefully AI won't replace you and me, Bubba. I'll see you next week.
I'm glad I'm an old man, so they can replace me all at once.
I'll see you right back here on Thursday, Bubba.
Thank you very much, Big B. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man.